Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to buff a car paint. Basically how to get this orange peel, get rid of the orange peel and turn it into a nice smooth finished surface. So one of the examples here is basically we're going to do half of the car here. Half of the left side of the hood. We're going to turn this hazy blurry clear coat surface, lots of orange peel, into this crystal clear mirror glaze reflecting surface that is super smooth. Stay tuned, I'll go step by step as to how we will do it. So to get started, what I'm going to do is do this left half of the paint, the hood, passenger side. So this line right here, center, will be the cutoff line. We'll work on this left side. I kind of started a little bit, as you can see, and we'll compare the left to the right once the job is done. To get started, we're going to spray some water straight on the areas we're going to wet sand, and we will start with Grit 500 sandpaper. As we do it, we will constantly have to spray water so that we don't damage the car. And this is I got 1200. I'm gonna grab 500 grit here. Okay, so here's 500 grit. Basically, to start, we can start 400 to 600 grit. Never go below 400 grit because it's gonna scratch the clear coat. It's gonna leave deep scratch marks. So now let me just get started with this area here. Okay, we'll start with 500 grit, and basically 10 to 15 to 20 circles going like that. It has kind of grinding noise, and as it smoothens, it goes quiet, gets quiet and quiet. And what we're looking at is water, kind of milky water, clear coat coming off, getting smooth and smooth. So never go less than 400 to begin. First we'll start with 500, and then we'll go something close to 800 range. I don't think I have 800, so we might switch to about 1,000. Then we can do 1,200. Then we can do 1,500 grit. We might just finish off with a 2,000 grit. You can go up to 3,000 or 4,000 range. But what I found is there is not much difference with 3,000 to 4,000 grits. And I didn't find much difference between 2,000 and 3,000. So, and I'm not a very patient person, so we might just skip the 3,000 and finish off with 2,000 grit. Now always spray water. It does two things. Basically lubricates, prevents scratches, deep scratches on the surface of your clear coat, and it also lubricates it. And when you sand, basically it creates heat, and that protects clear coat. So spraying water protects clear coat from heat as well. Alright, so we'll keep going. There's two ways to feel. If you're doing it right, if the area is ready, and so that you don't go too deep, we need more wet sanding in this area. First is by touching, getting a feel for it with your fingers, with your hand. And the second way is to just, you can feel by how smooth the sandpaper moves. Here it moves freely, but right here it does not. Up here it does not. Here it moves freely. Up here it doesn't. So the best way to feel is just touch with your fingers, with your hand, get a feel for it, and keep sanding more as it needs. So we'll finish off this half area, left half of the hood, with 500, and then next I think we'll move to 800 or 1,000 grit. Be right back. Once we finish wet sanding the area with 500 grit, we'll take a microfiber cloth or any dry towel and wipe it off. There's a lot of little milky residue in there, and okay, it feels smooth for the most part, and next we're gonna go ahead and move to a 1000 grit sandpaper. I'm just gonna go ahead and give you a warning here. Be careful as to not to apply too much pressure. As you can see, I scraped off this edge paint over here, and I'm gonna have to fix that with a little touch-up paint later, so just be careful. I guess I wasn't being careful there. So we'll just go ahead and move to 1000 grit sandpaper, and it's the same process. We'll spray water on the sandpaper and on the area where we're sanding it. And the idea basically here is with 500 we wet sand it. 500 grit basically makes it flat, and then 800 to 1000 grit removes all the scratch marks from previous wet sanding. Then we will move to about a 1200 grit that removes the previous scratch marks from high grit sandpaper, and then we'll move to 1500 grit, and then finish off with 2000 or so. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and wet sand it for about 5 to 10 minutes, all the left side of the hood, and be right back at you. Okay guys, next we're going to move up to 1200 grit, and I wiped off the surface with a microfiber towel. So we're going to just keep doing what we're doing. Always. Okay guys, next we're going to go ahead and upgrade to 1200 grit sandpaper, and just keep doing what we're doing. Spray water and wet sand the surface. Hope you can see it from here. Spray some water straight on the hood, on the clear coat of the vehicle, and some water on your sandpaper. You can wear gloves if you'd like, but I don't like wearing gloves because it's hard to tell how smooth the surface is getting with gloves on, and I have taken them off and on, putting them back on all the time. So we'll finish it off with 1200 for now, and then move up to 1500 and go from there. After 1200 grit, we're going to upgrade, move up to 1500 grit sandpaper. Got it right here. I'll lay it down, and as usual, we're going to start with some water. I'm going to spray water directly on the hood and directly on the sandpaper. And this is a very, very fine grit, so usually doesn't put visible scratch marks. It's at a microscopic level now. The idea here is to remove all the previous scratch marks that we put on the car from wet sanding it. Okay, so we'll just continue just like that. Okay guys, my apologies, it's starting to get dark. We've been at it for almost second hour, 2 hours now. Actually an hour and a half. This next we're going to use a 2000 grit sandpaper to finish off the surface. This is the last wet sanding stage on this hood, and this is a 3M's 2000 grit. Same as usual, we're going to spray some water on the hood and some water on the sandpaper, and we will just continue wet sanding it. So this is the last and final stage on wet sanding, and there's actually no more noise. The surface is so smooth and flat, kind of silky smooth, that there's no resistance. There's nothing grinding against the wet sand, the sandpaper. So it's pretty smooth. Oops, got stuck there. So we'll finish off with that all around it and get a feel for it by rubbing our finger up and down on the surface. It's pretty smooth now compared to what it was before. Alright, and then we'll move on to buffing stage. Next, we're at a buffing stage now. We're gonna go ahead and buff this paint. So there's a buffing compound, Meguiar's mirror glaze. There's 3-4 different types actually. So basically we're going to be using these two guys. First we're going to use this one. This is, as you can see, light cut to heavy cut. This is more on the medium 5 level. So this is medium cuts. For bigger cuts we're going to first buff it with this one, and then we're going to buff it with the light cut. First this will be filling up the big cuts, and then the small cuts, the leftovers, we will fill it up with this one, basically buff it. This is a buffing compound. So before we pour it, we have to shake it pretty well. Instructions say shake before you use it. So we're gonna pour all over. Basically, here, let me show you. We're gonna pour some straight on the vehicle, basically kind of all over it. Okay, as you can see there. And we're gonna put some on the buffing pad. Make sure when you're buffing, I'm still kind of new to this. I've done about 7-8 jobs, and buffing wasn't my specialty, but I've been getting pretty good at it now. So we'll put some on the buffing pad. When you buff, make sure you always use a wool buffing pad, not a microfiber cloth. Make sure you do not use a sponge, or the sponge one, or memory foam. Do not use those. For buffing, you always have to use a wool buffing pad. It has to be wool. It works best. Others will do a mediocre job. It's not going to have that showroom look to it. So next, we're just going to, with that medium cut, we're just going to go ahead and spread it a little bit, because when we run this polishing machine, it's just going to spray the buffing cream all over the place. So we'll just rub it a little bit, just like that. Yeah, overall buffing time is about 5 minutes. Then we'll clean that and use the other light cut buffing cream, Meguiar's mirror glaze. That bottle size that I have here is a 16 fluid ounce, both of them the same size. Was purchased for about $15, $16. Excuse my neighbor's dog. So I'll basically polish. Let me put the camera right over here so you can see how we do it. Okay. Medium speed there, all around there, and we'll keep doing this till all of the cream gets dry. We'll drop the hood. Be right back. Okay guys, so I went ahead and buffed it for about 5 minutes with medium cut mirror glaze Meguiar's buffing compound, and I wiped it off. So next we're going to be using this one here, Meguiar's mirror glaze, machine glaze professional light cut. As I was saying, we're going to shake it well. So we'll go ahead and and apply some cream, the buffing cream, all over the hood. Not too much, but not too little, to the point of where we're just rubbing nothing. So that's about plenty. We'll just rub a little bit on this buffing pad. And we're gonna go ahead and spread this around. This is for the light cut. This is the light cut level, the buffing cream. So this is the second stage, and for this job, it will be our final stage. We'll just rub this one so it doesn't spray all over. Make sure you rub it like this, because when you run this polisher, it's just gonna spray it around. It's gonna get messy. So this is the final stage of buffing, and always use a wool pad. And okay, now we're ready to buff this one. Run the machine. Okay. Yeah, always make sure you move the machine left to right, up and down, all around, because if you keep it in one spot like that, it's gonna overheat, and it might create more scratches or damage your paint. So always move it around. You can go in circular motions. There's really no one proper way to do it, so you just keep doing it all around it. And we do it about 3 to 5 minutes till all the buffing cream gets really dry, and that's when we stop and wipe it off. So this whole job can take you about 2 hours, or you could take 10 hours to do it. The final result, you might see a difference in final result, but I have no patience to do a 10-hour job, so my limit's 2 to 3 hours. I gotta get it done. So let me finish this one. I'll be right back at you. I just finished buffing the last stage with light cut compound, and I wiped it clean, so it's ready to go. It is kind of dark to see, and I don't know if you can see the difference, probably not much. Basically, here, this is that light. We can see the reflection of the sidings crystal clear here. Here they're blurry, lots of orange peel. And that's basically a before. This is after we buffed the vehicle, the front hood. So this is before. This side is all before, and lots of orange peel, blurry, no mirror look, no glaze, not very shiny. I wouldn't be proud to showcase this one at a car showroom, but this is the after look. So I'll also try to get a daylight view when the sun is out to get the best look. So here we go, guys. Yeah, I'll try to add the daylight difference as well here. So, okay, this is daylight now, and here's the difference. This is the one we polished right here, and this is the one from before. You can see this is hazy here. This is crystal clear. So this side's not smooth, and this side's pretty smooth. I think the best example would be right at this angle right here. So here you can see the reflection of the side wall, the garage there, crystal clear, and here it's blurry. So we're done, guys. Thanks for watching, and good luck with yours. Take care. Oh, there's another example. Crystal clear side, blurry. Alright. Thanks for watching, guys. Good luck.